radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 3 here at the British GT here at Snetterton. Some say it looks like Kenny led on his side, not Keddy. Keddy keeps trying to go faster. Led on his side, but it's not. It's an interesting track. I don't think it's necessarily a fan favourite, is it? But I am joined by Derek in the comms booth, but
I'm brain dead at the moment, so catch up as we're going.
But he's brain dead at the moment. So we have our GT3s going out on the track first of all for the first couple of minutes of qualifying. We have a 2-hour long race, and we will catch up with what we missed last week because I was on holiday.
Was there any comms last week?
No. There was no comms last week. So, but we do have a championship ongoing, and let's have a little bit of a catch up on that whilst we wait for the drivers to set their first laps. So we'll have a look at the GT4s first of all. So we got NCR Esport Legends, which is Vincenzo Senatore in P1 on 59 points. 2S Esports with their wee team in second place with 58 points. Then you've got NCR Esport Legends with Team Dale in P3 on 50 points. Fresh Sim Racing, which is Nathan Berry and Chris Carr, I believe. Sorry, just choking on some tiffin. In P4 on 49 points, and Low Fuel Motorsport unfortunately DNF'd and looks like they haven't arrived for Ring 3 in P5. Let's have a look at our GT3 standings. So again, a familiar name at the top of it, which is 2S Esports with Fast Forward in the Audi and 61 points. That's Dominic Ilgner and Nico Veltman, I believe, in 61 points. Then you've got Raccoons Blue with interesting comments in the Discord over the last few days regarding the Lamborghini not being the strongest track. I think that was in relation to PSG rather than British GT. They're in P2 on 56 points. And then you've got NCR Esport Legends and Team Dynamite, which is Thomas Nopek in P3 on 55 points, so 6 points separating the top three. Then you've got Raccoons Yellow on 53 points, and then NRE Racing in the Porsche in P5 on 53 points. So that's where we are with our stand-ins. In terms of the race results, so last week it was Brands Hatch, and our GT3 race winners were 2S Esports Fast Forward with NRE Racing in second and Raccoons Yellow in third. Interestingly, Thomas Nopek finished fifth, which I think is his worst result so far here in FRL. And our GT4 race results were 2S Esports with the win, with NCR Esport Legends next in P2 and Fresh Sim Racing in P3. But that's where we were. We have completed Donington Park, we have completed Brands Hatch, we're here at the fan favourite of Snetterton, and then we go to the home of British Motor Racing at Silverstone, and with the finale at Alton. Yes, that was intentional. And then we have a finale at Alton Park. So still lots to look forward to, and no planned holidays for the next 3 weeks. So you'll be hopefully quite happy to hear about that. So where are we in this race? So we have Dominic Ilgner in P1 currently with the fastest lap. Then we got Tazin in P2, Zerman in P3. David Goodway has just dropped to P5 because Gajdan has popped himself in P3. What's your thoughts about Snetterton, Derek?
I'm not drove it much. I have one star from one time that I drove around it a wee bit.
Yeah.
We don't use it that often, I don't think. But I did have a hard time concentrating between you wee and then Keddy playing with new Mugo.
Yeah, he likes that one. Nobody's given us the sound check, so nobody can tell if they can hear you or me so far.
No, we'll find out if the little cow can hear me.
But there's, as with always with these championships, you get always generally a strong GT3 presence in terms of the numbers of cars that turns up, and then GT4 just slowly dwindles away as the season goes on, which is so disappointing because I'm desperate for a proper GT4 season to kick in again.
It seems very difficult to get them in to begin with, never mind try and keep them.
Yeah, well, GT3
you never end up with a full grid. You always end up with maybe a half a grid of GT4 cars or a quarter of what you would expect from them. And then as the races go, it doesn't take long for them to go to nothing. How many have we got in tonight?
I've 24.
At the moment. I was talking about GT4s.
5.
Yeah, it's bundle 25 already.
Yeah, it's a shame because they're bloody great cars. Steeped in FRL history was that season when we had 2 tiers of GT4s firing round the tracks for 7 races.
Well, that's a while back. That was PS4.
Yeah, that was before the console split, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was before the PS5 even got it.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, here we are. So our grid is jumping around. So we've got Dominic Ilgner still trying to go faster by the looks of things, although he has invalidated his lap. Any other drivers, so Chris Schneider's currently up on his best lap in the Mercedes, just by a tenth or so.
Dominic's going up full top.
Yeah, Dominic Ilgner is on his best lap is a 45.7, which is 7 tenths quicker than Francois Tazin in P2. Thomas Nopek so far his fastest lap is a 46.8, so quite a bit of a gap between P1 and P2 and where Thomas Nopek should potentially be. Ilka Zerman is going a little bit faster as well. He's 2 tenths up on his lap. That'll bring him into the low 47, potentially high 46s. Do you know the worst part about this track?
Kenny's head.
Yes. Yeah, absolute horrible because you want to
That whole
put
section.
you want to put the power down, but you're just so afraid. We raced a lot on it on the PlayStation days. Oh, Chica's gone round. That's
Yeah.
not going to help Zerman's time. In fact, he's lost a couple of tenths as he was approaching the line. So Daniel Krishnaider. Oh, Thomas Nopek is starting to fly. He's starting to motor now. He's 6 tenths up on his lap. I know Dominic Ilgner is going faster again. He's currently a tenth up on his lap. Thomas Nopek in the M6, which still surprises me of how well he can even drive that thing.
It's still a very good car. It's just a handful.
Mm.
Um, these better drivers obviously have better reflex, and that's all. That's a lot of what you need out of that car. It's just how quickly you can correct rear ends flying out on you.
Yeah, because it's all
Although
power.
it does look as if he's got a bit more oversteer or understeer than he wants.
Well, he's popped himself into P2 with that lap, which is a 46.0, but still just under, just 3 tenths behind Dominic Ilgner. Dominic Ilgner is going faster still, but I'm just trying to see if there's another driver close to completing their lap, which they're not. So we'll pop over to Ilgner in the Audi. I can't drive this bloody car.
Is that the Audi 2 that you were trying?
Yes, I just can't drive it. It sucks.
Yeah.
But a
That's
lot
why
of
that's why you called it the Pink Pig.
no. Well, the Pink Pig has been in existence since Crazies did me a a Merc livery on the Pink Pig. So Dominic
Yeah, but you were
Ilgner,
really hogging the place up when you were in the Audi.
I wasn't on track. So Dominic Ilgner unfortunately invalidated, and now he's parked at the pit line. We had a driver spinning in the pit lane, which
Yeah.
is not going to be ideal. Bob Broughton and his best friend have messed up their own entry list. So
Yes,
it was.
I had talked to them earlier. I don't know how they managed to do it. It sounds like they came in the right way, but some kind of technical issue.
Hmm.
And I don't know if his partner is going to be able to race tonight.
No, by the looks of things, not. So all the GT3s are just finishing their lap. So Bob Broughton's just completed his last lap. He's in P15. Russ Blake is just going into the pit. So that is the GT3 done. So our top 10, we've got Dan Six Ups. Let's put something for the fans to watch. So we've got Dan Six Ups in P10, Ilka Zerman, probably disappointed for himself, in P9, Dave Goodway in 8, John Wilson in 7th, Chris Schneider in 6th, Badowski in 5th, Bella Gadjan in P4, Francois Tazin in P3, Thomas Nopek in P2, and Dominic Ilkner in P1. So now it's the turn of the GT4s. All 5 of them are going to be flying around the track. As
I tell you, the quality that's turned up for this series is quite good.
do you know what? I love the driver swap format, and even on a shorter race, I think it's great because it's just something a little bit different. And then
Yeah.
Katie and I are working on a little project, shall we say. Good evening, Sergio. How are you, sir?
Roger,
Mm.
are you going to be in a dress?
Project.
Nothing about.
Huh?
And you in a little dress, that'll be your project.
No, I'm not starting up my own personal OnlyFans account.
The Pink Pig OnlyFans.
Pink Pig OnlyFans, just pictures of toe jam. Well, not.
Camels with
Uh,
camels toe.
yeah, just pictures of my
Piggy
trotter.
toe.
Pictures of my trotter.
I've taken it downhill already.
Yeah, you have.
Very good at it.
I have managed to download the purchase and download the Nordschleife, by the way.
Oh, I had purchased that a while back.
Yeah,
That'll
50.
be an interesting day. The plan is to continue regardless, even if we get like a couple hours damage back out.
Well, just go in the pits for like 5 hours for a nap. Derek does the 24 hours of Nordschleife by himself. He only drives for 20 minutes of the 24 hours. The 23 hours and 40 minutes he's having a sleep.
The, the
Oh,
worst thing that could happen is there's a big massive accident by the time you get on, just as you're getting in the car, and it's like a 3 hour wait until the car's ready.
worst or best thing?
The worst thing,
Why?
because
You can get it. You
well,
can get wake up, realise that it's all gone pizza, and go for a nap.
yeah, but it'd be nice if you would actually get some hours in before you piss off and leave me alone again.
Speaking of 24-hour events, we have 24 hours of Watkins Glen on Saturday.
Watkins Glen.
So I hopefully all the teams have all signed out their splits, and I know the comms team are ready for the event. Trying to get as much of the 24 hours commentated as possible, or at least on stream.
The interesting will be a quick practice session before the race because of the update.
Well, that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Was this is our last race before the update, isn't it? The update takes place tomorrow.
Update, yes, the 19th tomorrow. I think it comes out either at midnight or 12 o'clock during the day, I believe.
It'll
So
be
it'll be
during
midnight tonight or during the day tomorrow at 12.
the day tomorrow, surely. Usually they release it about 3 o'clock UK time, don't they?
I
In
don't
the
know, I
afternoon.
think Brazil sat up to 2 o'clock in the morning last update and got up to 2 in the morning. So I think it goes live on Steam at midnight, but I could be wrong. I know, I remember it gets shuffled down area to area, so like Asia's first and then it works its way back.
So in terms of our GT4 lap time, so we got Vincenzo Senadori we're on board with now, just going up to turn 1 in P1. Then we got Samuel in P2, Cristian Romano in P3, Nathan Berry in P4, and then we got Jake Smith currently at the back of the grid with yet to set a valid lap time. His fastest lap so far was a 15 minutes and 26 seconds, so I don't think that's a
A Western pace.
challenging me at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's obviously going to be a couple of tweaks and changes to the update. I think. I don't.
Massive tyre update.
Yeah, massive tyre
Um,
update.
Camber and
Bumpers.
the negative toe is now a thing of the past. It'll destroy your car if you try it. The lower downforce cars that used to not be able to take the curbs, like the
Ferrari.
Ferrari and the McLaren, can all now take curbs, obviously within reason. But they've updated the suspension massively as well, and the dampeners to make the suspension work properly. But I didn't realise that the compression on the spring up until this update has been infinite. So that's why you get that very uncontrollable and confusing uh, snap.
Yeah.
Now that snap that comes from nowhere, that's caused by it's just the suspension's kept compressing and compressing until it couldn't take it anymore, and it's just the it snapped the physics basically.
Well, we got
Wheels sitting inside the car or something, suspension's going through the car.
Jake Smith just about to complete his first lap. Then we're going to jump to Vincenzo Senatore. He's just invalidated. So Jake Smith does complete his first lap. Bless me. And that was a 2 minute and 1:08.8. So that's his quickest lap so far. We've got Nathan Berry just about to cross the line as well. Currently in P23. He stays P23 with a 58.2. So it's quite big gaps between the GT4 cars at the moment. The closest of all of them are Vincenzo Senadori and Samuel. They're separated by, well, just over a tenth of a second. So let's keep an eye out and see what Samuel manages to dig out. Currently in P21, he'll be hoping for P20. I had a cooked dinner just before this, and that's possibly the worst idea in the world.
Well, you're cooking dinner.
Oh no, I don't cook dinner.
You just said you had to cook dinner.
I had
You
cooked dinner, like Sunday roast. On a
Oh, you had a cooked dinner. I thought
Yeah.
you had to cook dinner, and I thought that's really bad.
No. My days for cooking dinner are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Food poisoning days.
Yeah, takeaway days. So
Anyway, the last two things on the update just before we've still got a bit of time. So, apparently they always had a understeer issue with the cars, which I had always kind of felt about as well. So they fixed that with the tyres. Now it actually tracks out, it rotates properly, so it get better turning. And the other thing was your times will get slower simply because the car's going to be a lot slower entry, mid, and exit corner, and then down the straights it'll be faster than it used to be.
Oh, Senadori's just gone round. I think he was getting
Yes.
quite frustrated with Jake Smith in front. Going a lot slower when Senadori was up on his lap. So Senadori's got 10 seconds to get round the last couple of corners to be able to set one more lap. I don't think he's going to have enough
He's
time
doing
to
it
be
on the
able to.
grass just now.
He's not going to have enough time, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of Qualificacional. So, in terms of our GT4s, you've got Vincenzo Senatore in P1, Samuel in P2, Christian Romano in P3, Nathan Berry 4, and it looks like we've lost Smith.
Where are you seeing Nathan Berry in fourth? Is that the GT4?
Yeah. So he's in P23.
Right. Okay, so that, we've only got four GT4s now.
Yeah, it looks like Smith potentially had an issue.
He also had a red marker. I'm wondering if he wasn't in.
No, he was. Well, he wouldn't
Was
have
he?
got in because of the entry list.
Right.
Banjo594, yeah, Wi-Fi has just disconnected. Ah,
Okay.
bugger. Uh,
Right at the wrong time.
right at the wrong time, yes. Um, and Sergio, I'm not sure where Keddy is or what Keddy's doing. He's probably looking through pictures on his iPad.
He's in the air, is he not?
No, he's in and around somewhere.
Oh, is he racing tonight? They were in the GT4. He was in the GT4.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Uh,
I thought he was gone this week.
he might be.
I think he starts his annual leave next.
It's next week, is it?
I think his annual leave's next week.
That's when he'll start creating about 96 million events then.
Yeah. Well, maybe not. He's got a lot of grafting to get done on the iOS as well. Along
Yes.
with his Ath Factor 2's got a nice new update. Man's got more racing games than times.
He needs to do something outside of a cockpit. Can't believe Nils chose the 1.9 release over BGT. BGT shocking. Oh, so he's been given the.
Oh, he's on the event, yeah.
Right, okay. So.
Was he driving with us?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting very high to now, aren't we?
Are we? Well, I think we upset him because he got taken out last race.
Right, when you go racing, you're going to get taken out.
Yeah. Joys of
It,
GT3s and GT4s.
yeah. It can be something simple as the driver in the car next to you hits a bump, loses it, and comes carrying across and takes you out.
Is that why you had to
These
strop and?
things happen.
Is that why you've had to strop and sign out of all events?
No, I had a strop and signed out all events because I had been getting hit from the rear end too much. So I was going into the pits in Zolder. Somebody thought, oh, I'm not bothered braking, I'll just go to the pits. Clunk. So yeah, I'd finished last in every race, which wasn't my fault, but I had a wee dummy tit thrown such.
Well, we have some racing anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're not racing because I get someone to talk to.
Well, I had said a while back as well that I needed to decide what series I wanted to actually race in. I didn't feel comfortable racing every single series that I have. I don't have time to do things.
No.
Enjoy other activities like sleep. No one will be enjoying any sleep on Saturday.
No. So I was looking. I was trying to do our schedule before we did anything, and I struggled to kind of get drivers a nice spread and get them all get 4 or 5 stints in. So I'll leave that one to you.
Okay.
Or we can have a chat about it after the race, one of the two.
Yeah, maybe a wee powwow after the rest of the work thing. I'll have a quick look at what you're trying to do just now while
Oh no,
you're talking us through the grid.
I deleted it
Oh,
because I didn't like it. Right, okay. So our grid then, as the drivers are doing their formation laps. Nathan Berry in P23, Cristian Romano 22, Samuel in P21, Vincenzo Senadori in P20. That's our GT4s. Then we got Marco in 19th, Russ Blake in 18th, Ian Thompson in 17th, Craig Hill, one of our teammates for Saturday in P16, Bob Broughton. We've already got a message in the chat. Come on, Broughton, get it, in P15. Damien Wilk in P14, Stephen Wilson in P13, Brizzle in P12, Daniel Williamson in P11, Danny Sixups in P10, Ike Zerman in P9, Goodway in 8th, John Wilson in P7, Daniel Krishnider in P6, Marco Badowski in P5, Bela Gadjan in P4, and our top three is Francois Tazin, Thomas Nopek, and Dominic Ilgner. So I actually didn't remind myself of the format before joining tonight because I'm ever prepared as a commentator. So we do have a mandatory pit stop where refueling is allowed and refueling needs to take place. Mandatory tyre change and no pit window. And the race is for 80 minutes. So that's me briefed, and hopefully you guys are as well. So let's get myself in a good position to be able to watch the start of the race as the drivers have now gone. What was the quali time again? So I can't remember. I can't remember what the time was in qualifying.
1:45.
Yeah, we'll go with that. 1:45 or 1:46.7, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So drivers are now just going into the final, getting ready to go down the start-finish straight. We've got Ilgner versus Nopek, Audi versus BMW. Going into turn 1 at Snetterton. Kenny's Head. As the drivers approach the start-finish line, they get ready, get set, and go! And Ilgner gets a good start, but Nopek's got that boost on the line straight away. Ilgner will have the inside line. Seems relatively clean going backwards. Thomas Nopek's trying to go around the outside. He's cut down by Ilgner as they head towards the hairpin. Two different lines. You can go tight or you can go quite wide. It looks like Nopek's tries to go for the tight, wide to inside line as they head down to straight now. Nopek has the inside line for Ilgner to go round the outside. That is very clean racing. Romano has a yellow flag towards the back of the grid, but Dominic Ilgner leads from Thomas Nopek, from Tazin, from Badowski, from Gadjan. Did you manage to see what happened with the GT4 start?
I did not. I was looking at the GT3s. GT4s seem to be still running, although there is only 4 of them. So
well, we
do have Von Kedrowinski.
Yeah, Von Kedrowski seems to have been. Yeah, he seems to have been one of the drivers that's had a bit of an issue at the start. He's now behind Vincenzo Senadori. Williamson and Goodway seems to have made contact as well in P9 and P10. Williamson is currently behind David Goodway. He's looking left, he's looking right. Is he going to try and make the move down into the left-hander? No, he is not, and probably sensibly not as well. But our gap in front is currently 0.5 of a second between Ilgner and Nopek as they head towards the end of the first lap, with Tazin in 3rd, Badowski in 4th, Gadjan in P5, Chris Schneider's challenging him behind in the Mercedes. Then you've got John Wilson in P7, still tight and congested in the field. You've got P17 and P18 that look like they've made a little bit of contact, and a little bit more potentially as well. I just realised I wanted to try and remember to put race control on to see how many incidents we've had, and I've waited till the end of lap 1, which is probably not ideal.
No.
But Craig Hill is there in P16. We've got Gadjan, Krishnaida and Wilson all challenging for P5. Gadjan's lost a... Well, I thought he's lost 1 position since the start of the race. which isn't too bad. And Badowski has managed to gain that position. It looks as though he's motoring away in front, but two Mercedes fighting it out for P5, with Wilson in the BMW and another BMW behind him, which is Ike Zerman. Oh, that was a nice, cleanish start, he says. I suppose that's one of the benefits of having not as big a grid as 50 cars chucked on a race. It generally gets a little bit friendlier.
Yeah, yeah. But the GT4s were small enough to fight each other but not be stupid. It was just some of the GT3s that fell back. I didn't actually see that much catastrophe overall.
No, absolutely not. I think Marco von Gorowski was probably the driver that was most affected from that. He dropped behind the GT4s, but he's back up to the position he qualified in now. Alan Brown's lost a couple of positions since the start. He's down into P16 from P12. Dan Sixup's lost 3 positions as well. He's now in P13. Nico Veltman, it says, has just set the fastest lap of the race, but I think that is actually Dominic Ilgner rather than Nico Veltman, but he's currently leading away by 0.6 of a second. Chris Schneider still wants to fight Bela Gadjan as they go through the hairpin. Too tight of a line there from Chris Schneider. The race which I remember watching with you in was Donington Park, and you tried to hang it out for as long as possible in terms of before trying to pit, didn't you?
Donington, yes.
Yeah.
That's because I had a lot of damage. I'd been ended up way behind the GT4, wasn't
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to work my way through the GT4, work my way back into some clear air, and once I got to the clear air, I wanted to go as long as possible.
There was a couple of people who got impacted by some collisions which at the start of the race, but we've got Wilson challenging Chris Schneider. So Chris Schneider's fallen back from Gadjan now, and Chris Schneider has to defend the inside line going into the left-hander, which has given him a little bit of a twitch and made him quite slow through the right-hander, and John Wilson is all over the back of Chris Schneider, and he's followed by a train of 4 or 5 cars as well, so one slip up from Chris Schneider and he could find himself down into P11. So after fighting for P5 and not being successful in that, he's found himself a bit further back than into the masses than what he wants to. Dominic Ilgen is still pumping out the laps. That's another fastest lap of the race with a 46.3, 7 tenths quicker than Thomas Nopek's fastest lap, which is a 47.0. So they've got David Goodway in that battle as well as Daniel Williamson. And then you've got Stephen Wilson just sat at the back of that. So I think, from memory, I think Stephen and John Wilson are actually brothers, potentially?
Oh, I think.
I think, Smiley, I think it's Ilgner, or Illingner, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to go with what it says on the stand-ins, rather than the one that keeps saying that's popped in the fastest laps. David Goodway, how's he doing? He is right on the back of Ike Zerman, as we can see the BMW's yellow behind, as it looks as though Goodway actually disappeared. Dave's found quite a lot of form of late as well, haven't he?
Dave Goodway, yeah, definitely. He's definitely finding a good way through now.
Yeah, he seems to be quite happy in the Aston Martin.
Nearly as bad.
No, he's finding the. Oh, we got a car over in the distance. That's Stephen Wilson who's off the track, sensibly waiting, and I think we've also got Daniel Williamson he's on the track, so Stephen Wilson's now dropped down to 16th. He's back on the track, he's attacking some bollards. Chica's just gone past him, as well as Russ Blake by the looks of things, so I'm not quite sure what happened with Stephen Wilson. But he's definitely fallen a lot further back than what he ideally wanted to. Dan Sixup goes past Bob Broughton for P11 and P12. We got then John Wilson still all over the back of Daniel Krishnider. I want to see a battle develop like we had at Donington Park, where we had Novak chasing down. Oh, right. So I think Gajan went off and rejoined. Well, yes. Where is oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So cup of tea delivered. So where is Gajan then? Oh, Bella Gajan now is in P9. So potentially lends to the theory that he went off the track and had a collision with Stephen Wilson. So Stephen Wilson now is trying to claw his way back through the field. He has a raccoon in front of him of Russ Blake. And lot difference in braking zones there going into that corner. And Stephen Wilson got right almost at the underbelly of that Aston Martin. But yes, David, I think he won Friday's race as well, didn't he?
I have to admit, I didn't watch Friday's race.
I was driving home, so I didn't. And so Ike Zerman's had an issue, and he's gone off the track. He's now into P9, potentially a collision with David Goodway. So Goodway's overtaken him and moved up to P7. We've got a Mercedes of Gajan going past David Goodway by the looks of things into the corner. No, he's not. He's still behind him. So there's a lot of tasty little battles happening around the track, and I seem to be missing every single one of them.
That's not like you, James.
It is. Dave won. He had helped me by the Italian Mafia taking out the competition. He helped. Right, okay. That's nice of them. Yeah, so Dave definitely has found form, so it'll be on to Sergio, I know you're listening, to try and maintain this good position and potentially increase it as well.
Looks like Chica's had a bit of as well, he's 12 down to 18.
Yeah, he's only
Well,
lost...
I think he started in 17th.
Yeah, he started in 17th, so he's only lost one position since the start of the race. We've got Russ Blake, who's just been overtaken by Stephen Wilson. So Stephen Wilson in the Audi is now ahead of Russ. And now Stephen is 8 seconds behind Craig Hill in front, which will be his next driver to attempt to overtake. Gajan and Zerman seem to be having some close proximity racing, shall we say. But the gap in front is now just under 2 seconds. Tazen is 2.5 behind that, and then Badowski, Krishnider, Wilson, Goodway, Zerman, Gajan and Williamson. Let's have a quick check on the GT4s, because there has been a change of leader for that. So Vincenzo Senadori is in P2, Samuel is in P1, and then you've got Cristian Romano in these three battling it out for the top 3 positions. Then 7.5 seconds behind them, you got Nathan Berry, as you can see the yellow Porsche right off in the distance. But this GT3 battle is very, very, very tight between Senadori, Samuel and Cristian Romano. 2 drivers in the Alpine. I think that might relate to the Alpine qualifiers that are currently were going on, and drivers wanted a bit of practice in that.
I think that myself, because at one point we had 4 Alpines. Alpine. One's a serial, one's a car.
Oh, Senadori has a switcheroo! And that's put Cristian Romano right on the back of him. But is Cristian Romano going to make the move? Oh, I don't want that camera, I want that camera. Down into turn 1, it looks as though we lost all the momentum with Senadori just slowing down directly in front of him. So I don't think Romano's going to be able to make that move, but you can see down the start-finish line, you've got Nathan right at the coming through the last corner as the top 3 drivers in GT4 are making their way through turn 1. So These three drivers, well, never. Samuel, I don't think, has raced in FRL very much. Vincenzo Senadori, we know, is absolutely rapid. Cristian Romano, when he's not on the mic, he is also very, very quick in a car. So these three are. I'd be lucky if I was on the same lap as them by lap 3. So I do feel.
Getting passed by GT4 cars, I mean.
Yes. Alan Brown's right on the back of Bob Broughton as they're heading down into turn 1. It looks as though Alan Brown has managed to make that move. He's back up into P12 as he heads down into the braking zone. We've got a Lamborghini directly behind these two drivers fighting it out. And Alan Brown has indeed moved up to P11. Daniel Williamson and Bella Gadjan. Bella's not had a very good race start. He was in
falling slowly.
Yeah, he was in P4, and now he's fallen down to P10, and is starting to drop a little bit like a stone.
So a little off, so just losing on the time. We'll have a bad day. Maybe his teammate will be able to pull them back up again, save them. That's the point of having two drivers, I guess.
Yeah.
If you have a bad day, get out a bit earlier, let the other driver in.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You're going to try and stick to the schedule of 40-minute stints.
If you have to change it, the strategy's there.
Yeah.
There is no stunt timer for this series, which unfortunately it was a nice idea. It's a lovely way of working it, but you can't. You maybe had to enforce a driver swap or something because we ended up with way too many single drivers or solo drivers, which was not planned.
No, well that's the thing, isn't it? Trying to get that balance between not disadvantaging teams too much.
Yeah.
But then also trying to get enough drivers into the series with having, because 80 minutes isn't that long of a race.
No, and the problem is 9 times out of 10, if you can go for a full hour and then swap the car, that's usually your best bet. So that's why a lot of people went solo, because they didn't want to drive for 40 minutes while a solo driver went an hour.
Yeah.
But the only way I could see to resolve that would be going back to a stunt timer or forcing a driver swap.
Well, project. That's all I'll say.
Oh, you're pressed, yes, of course.
Yes.
Pressing for the day. Eddie taking James out on a day.
Oh, well, we just had a nice little bit of a sponsorship thing announced for the 24 Hours of Watkins Glen, which is Sim Trader. So that's hopefully a very nice prize for the winner. I think they get 6 months free of CDA setups. But
really?
Yeah.
So. See that part.
No. So. So
the mission's on. We have to win that.
Yes. So Wilk has just managed to make the move on Bob Broughton. So Wilk's up to P12 in the Lamborghini. You've got Alan Brown all over the back of these two as well. So Bob Broughton's under threat from the Brizzle. But Bob Broughton's trying to go left and right of the Lamborghini, trying to force a move as they go through the long right-hander. Chaudhry's has had a yellow flag against his name, and these two are fighting hammer and tong. Senadori's going to want to try and get this move done before the GT3 start to catch them, and I think that is Ilkner right behind. Senadori goes for the round the outside move, breaks a little bit too late. Now he's under threat from Chromedix behind, but they stay 1, 2 and 3. Audi GT3 is approaching. That's going to be interesting for the race leader, having to try and pass these cars whilst they're fighting for position as well. Oh!
Yeah, there's less likely to be distinct movements when you've got someone behind you that you're actually racing with.
No, so I think I
tend to try and hold on as long as you can so as not to lose that space.
So Ilkner will be hoping that he can pass these three drivers before the left-hander. He's passed Senadori.
He's hopefully got them on the straight.
Oh, he goes side by side with Samuel and just manages to get the break that move done in time.
Close.
Oh, so close. But these three, well, sod the GT3s. Let's just watch a GT4 race. It looks as though that Senadori is quicker. In fact, his fastest lap is 4/10 quicker than Samuel's. But there's one thing he's catching. Another thing is passing.
It looks like the McLaren's got the pace through the corners.
But they have shocking brakes. So you got
yeah.
no Peck trying to do the 3 in 1. He's only managed to do 2 out of the 3.
No, and that's not that little straight.
Oh, Senadori's gone wide! Senadori's gone very wide!
Jesus, he hit the curb.
And then he's met wall.
Fence.
Yeah,
that fence is quite sturdy.
He is very sturdy. He needs to be careful as he rejoins. So he's lost.
That's a shame.
That battle was developing, but now it's a challenge for Senadori. Now he's got some space. Probably has a bit of damage to his car. He has to try and catch Christian Romano and Samuel to be able to make the move. Tazin's got a yellow flag against his name. That's him passing GT4 cars by the looks of things.
Him and Romano, it looks like got into a bit of a bumpy.
They need
I think that the tiny fence will cause as much as a tyre will, Smiley. It's quite interesting. It's a very strong aero grade titanium.
Yes.
Made by the Avengers. It's so strong it's right in the front end of the car.
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
Yeah, so Badowski has managed to pass the 2 GT4s battling. So Samuel now has to deal with Chromatics as opposed to dealing with Vincenzo Senadori. So Senadori is 10 seconds back behind these cars. So Christian Ida manages to use the Merc power and go through them all. Danny's 6-ups has gone off the track and has rejoined safely. He's given a little bit of a flash of his lights.
I always liked that wee car. I liked the colours on it.
Which one? Dan 6-ups?
On Dan's the 6-ups car, yeah.
Yeah, Gasoline Gamers by the looks of things. A little bit of a Pac-Man tribute on the side. So now Bob Broughton's right on the side as Dan 6-ups indeed goes, I'm going to go into the pits. So he's going to have an hour long on a set of tyres.
Has it been an hour already?
No, he's got 20 minutes, so we've got an hour left.
And is he a solo driver then?
I think so. So Brizzle's also gotten in the pits as well.
Oh, interesting. He's decided to try and make sure he doesn't lose too much time then.
Yeah, so maybe that's the strategy. If you're in with traffic, then potentially it's time to box. So Gap is.
It's trying to figure out the overcut and the undercut tracks. A lot of these guys know it, a lot of them don't, and they just kind of hoping. I know I messed up royally at Alton Park. I went for the overcut and it was the undercut.
Well, I usually just go when I get fed up.
Or sometimes after getting royally destroyed from the back of Alton Park, you get fed up very early.
Yeah. So we got the 2 GT4 drivers.
6-up got a 36-up goal.
Oh. So his night's starting to go from bad to worse.
Yeah, it's a few positions he's going to lose. He's lost all the positions up to where he's at now. He's now in 18th. So he won't be getting those positions back easily. No,
but he did have an off just before his pit stop as well, because he was running in P10 as we've got a Raccoon's Audi going past the 2 GT4 drivers. Romano tries to go in the slipstream of the Aston Martin down the start-finish straight as they head back down into turn 1. No move made there, so Belagajan is now in P10, just 0.2 of a second behind Bob Broughton in P11.
Just realised the Raccoon's car has got Raccoon eyes.
It's a very nice livery, and to be honest,
yeah.
Oh, Bella. And they're very nice guys as well. They've raced with us for a while.
Oh yeah, they've raced singularly as well. I've done that.
Yeah. Yeah, so Alan Brown's got a yellow flag. Alan Brown's parked off the track. Alan Brown has just started driving again.
Alan Brown is having troubles as well. Or did you say that? Yeah.
So the Fresh Prince of Brizzle is definitely having some issues. Chowdhury and Romano have had some contact, and Christian Romano is now in front of Chowdhury. We've got a Lamborghini doing the weaving between the two cars. Alan Brown's gone back in the pits.
Ah, he must have had some damage then.
Yeah.
Or he's thrown the dummy tit and that's unfinished for the night.
Let's hope not. Bob Broughton. So Bella Gadjan has now managed to pass Bob. And then we got Dave Goodway and John Wilson fighting it out for P6 and P7. Interestingly, there's a gap of 6 seconds between Thomas Nopek and our race leader Dominic Ilgner. Similar pattern developed at Donington Park. So I'm hoping for a repeat because that was epic. I almost lost my voice in that race. Francois Tazin is running quite a solo race in P3 with a Badowski in P4, Chris Schneider in P5, Wilson in 6th, and David Goodway in P7. Ike Zimmerman is in P8, Daniel Williamson in P9, and Damien Wilk is in P10. So there is Alan Brown. He's back in the pits, which is now put him dead last. Nathan Berry is powering around the track in P4. The gap between Senadore and Samuel has now dropped down to 8.2 seconds. Samuel's now 1.2 seconds behind Christian Romano, and then you've got Christian Romano running in P1. Has just been lapped by an Audi by the looks of things. So that fight can change in a heartbeat because you're getting overtaken by faster cars. Dan Sixups has come in to serve his 30-second penalty. From memory, what's this track like with track limits?
I don't get a lot of track limits to begin with, so it's hard to ask me.
Well, we don't push hard enough, that's why.
Yeah, probably. It's not a Mazzano or a power car.
Oh no! What's
I
happened?
I don't think it's any worse than Alt Park. Now, what's happened to who?
No, I just saw a yellow flag between Chica and Senadore. So you got Chica behind Senadore. Obviously Chica's in the Ferrari. Chica's going to try now and go down the inside line to lap the car, which he has managed to do this time successfully. But I think there was a little bit of contact. We've got Craig Hill just going past Samuel in the McLaren down the start-finish straight. So that move is nice and easily done. Stephen Wilson has now got past Bob Broughton. Dan Sixups is coming out of the pits. He's out of the pits. So Bob Broughton and Stephen Wilson. Looks as though Stephen has come back up to P12. He's going to rekindle his love affair with Bella Gadjan in P11.
If Bristol doesn't start moving in the next lap, then I reckon he's giving up the ghost. Still sitting at the pits.
Yes. So Dan Sixups has passed Samuel Chowdhury for position. And huge respect to Dan Sixups for having that early pit, which after some damage, and then having a stop and go, and then carrying on. So now Dan Sixups needs to pass Chromedix for position as well. So bring him back up into P18, but he is a lap down from his GT3 drivers, so that's going to be a relatively easy pass down the Bentley straight, and it is. He's moved up into P18. He's 91 seconds behind marker. We've got Russ Blake and Ian Thompson fighting it out. Russ Blake moves out to the inside line, then slides back into the racing line for the braking zone. A little bit different in techniques going through that right-hander, and Ian Thompson has managed to give himself a 1.2 second gap now to Russ Blake behind.
Just having a quick look through the replay and see, figure out what happened between Thompson and Sanadori.
Lap 14, 25 minutes and 8 seconds apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, Chica's going up the inside on a corner, left plenty of space, but Sanadori lunched into him. Wasn't much time lost by either party. Sanadori had gone off prior to that.
Right, okay. So we got...
Not much in it.
I was just trying to figure out why I had 9 tags in the Discord, so I was just reading them.
Oh, 9 tags. Well, one of those for me, you can ignore that one to the race.
Well, I should ignore them all. Apparently one of the Taco Tuesday commentators can't get in because I can't verify them. But, hey.
I know, you can't do everything, James.
No, absolutely not. I managed to get in. So we got Ike Zerman going in P8, and he is 1.5, 1.6 seconds behind David Goodway. David Goodway's dropped back a little bit from John Wilson, so John Wilson's got a little bit of a reprieve. Christian Eyes is still in P5, Badowski P4, Tazin in 3, Nopek 2, and that's 6.5 seconds to Dominic in front. Bob Broughton's managed to stay pace with Stephen Wilson, and is not too far behind. Christian Romano now has a gap of 2.2 seconds to Samuel behind. Senadore's dropped back a little bit. Senadore must be contemplating a pit. And also, it's not registering pit stops.
What's not?
On ACTTV, it's not registering people have done a pit stop. Alan Brown is out, by the way. He's
I figured as much.
He's back on track.
Oh, so when you say out, you didn't mean the out. I thought you meant the out of.
No, he's out of the pits.
Oh, maybe he had that much damage then.
So he is currently, it says 4 laps down from Nathan Perry.
Yeah, 3 laps down was when I says if he doesn't go out the next lap, then he probably gave up. So probably felt the same way.
Well, he's managed to get back out, and he should manage to get P19.
You think he'll get the 4 laps back on the?
Should do, yeah. I don't see why not, don't you?
Yeah, maybe.
Remember, they've got a pit as well.
Yeah, they've got a pit, yeah, true. And I mean, it wasn't the speed that was worrying me. It was, I was wondering whether it all depends on accidents and mishaps and things from this point on, doesn't it?
Yeah, so Bob Broughton and Stephen Wilson fighting for P12, with Belagadjan still not too far in front of these. There's a lot of dirt kicked up on the right-hand side as they head down towards the left-hander. You can see the Merc of Bella just in front as well. So these two could push each other along to catch Bella, but they could also potentially hold each other up. So Vincenzo Senadori has indeed taken this opportune moment to have a pit stop. So you can see...
it's been about an hour gone now, isn't it?
We've got 47 minutes left, so we're just coming up to halfway.
Yeah.
But you can see the damage on Senadore's car is all front end, and that's not going to help him at all. Oh, there's a fight left, right, and Stephen Wilson is going to try and go down the inside. He has gone down the inside of Belagadjan. Belagadjan went slightly off track. He's dropped down to P12, so that's promoted Stephen Wilson up to P11. But the threat from Bella now is probably from behind of Bob Broughton, because Bob was lapping at some really, really good pace. Nathan Berry's had an off, as he's overtaken by a Mercedes GT3 car as they go towards the Melbourne hairpin. Back out again. Will David Goodway manage to get past as well? He does indeed. So Nathan getting caught up in all the fun there. Vincenzo Senatore is now coming out back onto the track. That was a pit stop of 64.8 seconds, so definitely some damage was repaired there. And let's have a look at this, see if we can catch the front bumper, and it does look all shiny and new.
A little bit of paint scratching. It doesn't really tell you full damage, though, does it?
No.
Sometimes you can have a bit of paint scratching and the whole front end is destroyed.
So Elgner is 9 seconds in front of the mighty Thomas Nopek.
Yeah, he's obviously on a track he enjoys.
In a car that he enjoys as well. David Goodway is still holding his own. Last lap he was 1.4 seconds quicker than John Wilson, but I think that was mainly to do with lapping the abundance of GT4 cars.
Yeah, there's so many on the track today, it's like flies.
Nobody enjoys this track, Smiley says.
I don't know, I remember enjoying it on PlayStation. I've not drove it enough on PC. I know PC, compared to what PlayStation was at the time, was a lot different.
Yeah, I remember racing on this track in the wet.
I like the wet on this track.
Yeah, and I was in P3, and back then it was Sundays was a stacked grid.
My most favourite time in race was the first EOS driver swap race that we done.
Yeah.
And you came in at 7 o'clock and we'd done quite well to get where we were at. And you said, what's the weather like? And I said, it's probably 30 minutes of rain and then 30 minutes of dry, 30 minutes of rain. You were all yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that race because of that.
Yeah, Bathurst, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Bjorn Dale says that M6 has big chungers. He does indeed. And Bjorn, you probably remember Thomas from the Super Sprint days. So Nathan Berry's dived into the pits. That's given Vincenzo Senatore back his P3 in class.
Yeah, that's Chica coming back up on Sanadori again.
Oh, yes, it is.
Past Quino this time.
Yeah, hopefully no contact. I'm sure that's what both drivers are hoping for.
Yeah. Or both drivers are currently sitting in the truck. Oh, no, him again.
Oh, no, not that idiot. You know what? That was my poorly attempted Scottish accent. If you didn't.
Oh, I thought it was a pure attempt at Italian. That's how bad it was.
Oh, thanks. Ciao, Bella. So we got Bob Broughton thinking about an overtake on Bella, decides against it. That Mercedes is having all sorts of issues in the braking zone for that right hand. He's he's sliding left and right, and he's all over the track. I'm not sure quite what's going wrong with
Mercedes.
Yeah.
Maybe high temperature on the tyres.
But he is sliding across the track as Dan Williamson has dived into the pits from P10. That's going to put him towards the back of this. So he's going to be our highest placed driver. That is indeed going into the pits. But we're just on board with Bella at the moment, just trying to gauge what's happening with his car. That's Bob. We don't Bob for a minute. But he is definitely struggling.
Oh, Bella.
Yeah, he's struggling under throttle. He's struggling through mid corner. McNasty says Gajan is a mess. Well, we do have the instant reporting channel to be able to raise that
Yeah.
instant after the race.
Yeah, that should be the place to put that.
Mm,
Only people allowed to comment on a crash just now is me and James because we're the commentators.
yeah, and Derek's an idiot, we know that. Right, Nopek and Romano have had contact, potentially. There is Christian Romano in P20. Where is Thomas Nopek? He's all the way back there. So I'm not sure how they've managed to have some contact. But lap 21, car number 48, which is Nopek, definitely had contact with car number 40.
I'll have a
Which,
look. Lap 21.
yeah, lap 21, 37 minutes 29 seconds. But yeah, there's definitely contact between the two drivers. But that's also put Samuel back into P1. And that is Chris Carr is now in control of the Porsche over Nathan Berry. So Nathan Berry has done a bit of a driver swap. Tazin has gone into the pits. Hayne has taken control of Williamson's car. He's now in P17. He's 60 seconds ahead of Dan Sixups. Pithers has come out of the car into P13.
Your program lieth. No
Yeah.
contact whatsoever.
Huh.
Not even close.
So Pithers has taken the car from Francois Tazin. So Team Alain Le Bleu in P13. So they were P3 before the stops. So here's going to be an opportunity to try and understand what the overcut versus undercut looks like. Ian Thompson's gone into the pits. He's serving his stop now. David Goodway is now back on the rear of Wilson. Romano's got another yellow flag against his name as he's being overtaken by GT4 cars. After gaining P1, he's now fallen back as we've got the Mercedes who's decided that he wants to dive into the pits as well. Thomas Nopek pits from P3, which has promoted Badowski into P2, and David Goodway is in P1 as he's trying now to overtake. It looks like Christian Romano as they head towards the braking zone. Bella Gadjan has disappeared from my list. Christian Romano went straight on at the corner and met the solid fence again.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and
It was Snetterton that caught it the first time, wasn't it?
yeah, I think that might be the end of Christian Romano, and it is indeed the end of Christian Romano. He's gone. Bella Gadjan's gone. So we've lost a couple of drivers in a very, very short space of time.
Yeah. So the Romano with the yellow flag previously was he was trying to pass T-Car as a back marker, and just he managed to hit each other out. Nothing major, but yeah, that was what the yellow flag was for.
Yeah, Christian definitely was in front or leading the pack at one stage.
Yeah.
But we've got lots of drivers now who are diving in and diving into the pits, which is throwing everything all up in the air. So Nopek's pitted, Pithers, Zerman, Wilson, Krishnaider, Hayne, Thompson, Sixup, Senadore, Carr, and Brown. So Samuel is the only driver yet to pit out of the GT4s. Whereas Ilgner is now pitted for the GT3 leader. So let's see where he comes out in relation to Thomas Nopek. There was 9-second gap at one stage. Nopek's pit stop was a 56.6, which is by no means the quickest stop. Like Zerman had a 53.3, which is so far our fastest stop of the race. So Ilgner is now leaving the pits, and Thomas Nopek is just approaching the final corner.
He is fourth.
Yeah, so Veltman's taking control of the Audi. And that was a 53.8 second stop.
It was Veltman and Nopek. Veltman and Ingalls, right?
Yes, Veltman
Yeah.
Illinger. Craig Hill and Stephen Wilson have both pitting at the moment. Samuel is pitting as the lead GT4 car. So that gap between Bob Broughton's gone into the middle of Nopek and Veltman. So let's keep an eye on the lap times as they develop and see if Nopek manages to claw Veltman back up again. I would love a repeat of that fight at Donington Park. Sorry, you were saying about Chica?
I was just saying he's headed back round to try and catch up to the guys that were in the pits, but I think he's going to make it. He had an off in his outlap.
Yeah.
Not hard to do at this track either.
No, so Craig Hill popped in at 56.3 seconds stop. So we've yet to pit. Russ Blake in P11. He's going to drop back quite considerably. Then you've got Bob Broughton, Wilk, Goodway and Badowski have yet to pit. So Badowski is currently leading the way from David Goodway. David Goodway is now in the pits. Wilk is just about to pass him and move himself up into P2 temporarily. And then Nico Veltman is coming through down the start-finish straight now and will get P3. But we're still 36 minutes left of the race.
Bristol doesn't catch him much at all. He's still 4 laps down, 5 laps down.
Well, he's lapping 12 seconds a lap faster than Chris Carr in front, and about 10 seconds a lap faster than Vincenzo Senadori. So
He's definitely ticking away though.
Yeah, he's still 3 laps behind the drivers, but he's also going to have to give away from the the other GT3 cars, which are potentially lapping him, and has to then keep passing the GT4 cars. So Sergio has taken control of the Aston Martin. That brings him out into P9, 2.7 seconds behind Wilson. Chris Schneider, interestingly, had a very slow stop with a 59.8. Russ Blake still yet to pit. So
I just wait for it to fix itself. It's still showing that Sergio was in 7th. Let's just change that.
There we go. He's in P9. And the gap between Veltman, so that wasn't. So Veltman's yet to put a valid lap in yet. His last lap was not yet to have a full lap. His last lap was his out lap, and this one he appears to have invalidated. So that gap is now 8 seconds between Nopek and Veltman for P1 and P2 overall. Damien Wilk has dived into the pits to have his pit stop from P2. See if the overcut has worked well for him. John Wilson is now all over the back of Ike Zerman. Ike Zerman, his pit stop was a 53.3, and that's put him into a really, really good position because he was behind Wilson and Goodway before his pit stops.
Yes. So he's managed to stop sensibly, sorry.
Yeah, he's managed to get a good stop. So that stop was 1.8 seconds quicker, and has put him in a really, really good position. Damien
Romano's left the server then.
Yes.
That's right, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, he's jumped out, so unfortunately his car is now invalid. So Chesney Salazar is coming out in the Lamborghini from Damien Wilk, and he is now in P11 as he regains control of the car. Chesney used to pop in the chat with us quite a lot, didn't he?
Yes. Him and Chris Soto there. Now just Soto is like everybody else. I must say, Chesney popped in a couple of days ago just to say hi, but he's not come in recently for a chat or a hangout.
No, so Badowski has dived into the pits in the other Lamborghini of the Raccoons racing team. So he's having his pit stop. So that's going to allow Nico Veltman to regain the lead. That gap has now come down to 8 seconds. Last lap, Thomas was only 2/10 of a second quicker than Nico Veltman.
Who was?
Thomas Nopek.
Right.
In that last lap, Nopek is so Podolski now drops down into P2, and will probably drop down into P4 potentially, as Bob Broughton has now decided this is his moment to dive into the pits, as he's getting a lot of drivers coming up to the back of him. He managed to pull himself up to P4 before the stops, so that leaves just one driver yet to stop, which is Russ Blake.
Yeah.
Podolski is now out and he is back into P4. Zerman is in P5, just overtaken Chris Carr, and put a car in between himself and Wilson. Wilson goes past the Porsche. Ian Thompson's got a yellow flag and he's just currently...
Yeah, he's gone off just side to side speeding quickly.
And
didn't hit anything luckily, so...
No, so Russ Blake is now now dived into the pit, so he's having his stop. As Bob Broughton is surely going to be moving away from his box
he's
shortly.
Moving out now, surely.
There he is. He's just on his way now. So where is Craig Hill? So Craig Hill is now just coming down the start-finish straight. You'll see Bob Broughton coming out of the pits shortly, as he's just going past Vincenzo Senatore, and he will stay behind Bob Broughton. So Craig's pulled himself up to P13 now. He's gained up 3 positions. Chris Schneider's in P8. He's right on the back of Sergio as he gets the inside line, and these two battled it out for the Rookies Championship once upon a time. However, Sergio, unlucky for him, has had the admin weight thrust firmly upon his neck as they go side by side. Little bit of contact. Sergio managed to retain P7. He needs to get past Chris Carr as soon as possible.
Chris Carr, the fact that they ran up on Chris Carr has made a huge impact.
Yeah, and I think initially it impeded Sergio, but now it's possibly helped him.
Yeah. These things happen when you've got a different class car there.
Yeah.
You have to find your way past safely, so you can lose your time or it can gain you some time on the car behind, but at the end up, they're still tail to tail, tail to nose, nose to tail.
Absolutely, so Sergio's going to try and defend the inside line. He's... being an admin does not make you faster. You end up having to do commentating or stewarding.
Admin puts more eyes on you for your mistakes.
Yeah. So Daniel Chris Schneider and Sergio Azario fighting it out for P7. I had the Hall of Fame up earlier, and I was just trying to look. So Rookie Series. So that was Demokosh Kish and Sergio Azario fighting out for that one. For both Super Sprints and Rookie Series.
Craig Hill's had a bit of an off somewhere.
I'll have a quick check shortly. So where's the season where... And the other one... So I definitely remember Chris Schneider in the Rookies fighting out with Sergio. But it was also... it's also...
2 seasons ago?
Well, I can see the Rookies. It was Volpe, and in season 4 it was Volpe and Chris Schneider, separated by just 2 points. And in the season before that, it was Azario versus Kish and Terence Keenan was in 3rd in that season. So yeah, regardless, these two must be very, very familiar with them as they go through another lap of Sergio defending. Gets a little bit wide on the exit, which is going to give the Mercedes an opportunity to try and go round the outside. Sergio's going to have to defend the inside line again as they go towards the braking zone, side by side. Looks as though Chris Schneider's got a little bit of a nose ahead as they manage to fight side by side.
All the way through turn 1. That curb on the inside could really ruin both drivers' day if they're not careful. Yeah, Smelly signed Keenan should be this year's pro champion.
Yeah,
Because he
absolutely.
got, I take it he got his internet fixed in.
He has. His potato internet is working, so it's just having a look at the gaps at the top of the tree. So Nopek is now 8.8 seconds behind. Prithers is 12.2 behind Nopek. Badowski is 1.5 seconds behind him, but this is our closest fight on the track at the moment. It's between Sergio Azario and Daniel Krishnaider. As they head towards the right-hander down the Bentley Straight. This is the only, I think I remember there's a corner. The start-finish straight is Senna Straight. This is the Bentley Straight. And there's a corner called Hamilton as well. That was my pre-race research.
Like because the tyre on the car.
Yeah.
It went off and smashed the wall.
He wants to fight in the AMS next season, that's why. So Krishnaya all over the back of Sergio into the braking zone for the final corner. Well, Sergio managed to nail it this time. That was a lot better on the exit. So 0.3 of a second between Sergio Azario and Daniel Krishnaider. Krishnaider wants that inside line, but Sergio just will not give it to him. As again they go side by side through turn 1 for the second time. A little bit of contact this time from Sergio on the front of Krishnaider into the Melbourne hairpin. Sergio will try and defend the left hand side surely from Krishnaider. No, Krishnaider has a little bit of a peak, decides against it as they go through the left hander, heading up towards the next left hander.
Definitely got the pressure on him just now, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. Not sure what the temperature is like in Portugal, but we must be sweating buckets. And David Goodway is probably in there as well, hoping. But so Badowski is now 0.5 of a second behind Privers. Last lap, Privers did a 48.0, whereas Badowski did a 46.6. So we're going to jump onto that fight as well and try and stay across the two fights. This is for P3 and a spot on the podium for Badowski and Privers. Badowski in the Lamborghini, Privers in the Porsche. Hesse069 says, go on Nopek. He has to continue to pump in the laps. Again, last lap was 0.2 quicker than Nico Veltman, so he's chipping away, but I don't think it's fast enough. As Badowski goes into heads into turn 1 with Rivers, very close to the rear end. Oh, Privers runs wide. This is going to give Badowski an opportunity. Privers defends the corner into the hairpin. I think the Lamborghini is going to be able to power away this time, and he has. So Badowski has moved up into P3 with that little bit of a mistake from Privers. And Badowski is now up there, and Krishnaider has gained the position over Sergio. So Krishnaider back up into P7, and Sergio back down to P8. But Sergio's not giving this up.
No, he can't. David Goodwin built up a nice position there, which was trying with.
Well, he does have 19.5 seconds to the car behind. So my wife's been making me drink a lot of water, and all it does is make me want to wee continuously.
Maybe that's a plan. Maybe the more you have to wee, the less comms you can do, the quicker we kick you out, and the more time you get to spend with you.
No, she hates me. So we got 23 minutes left. Let's just have a recap of where we're at. So we got Alan Brown currently in last place. Chris Carr on for a podium in P3. Senatore in P2 for the GT4s with Samuel Chelmondeli in P17. Then you go into the bulk of into our GT3 cars. So you got Marco van Kodowski in P16. Sorry, I thought he was just about to make a move, but he was allowing a faster car to go through. Then we got Dan Six-Ups in P15. He's trying to claw his way back up through the grid. He's 8.2 seconds behind Russ Blake, who's in P14. Then we got Craig Hill in P13. In P12, we got Bob Broughton, who's just trying to overtake Chris Carr safely to put another lap on him. Then we got Stephen Wilson in P11 in car number 69. Philip Hine in P10 in one of the Raccoons. Then we got Chesney Salazar in P9 in another Raccoons in a Lamborghini. I want to be able to drive the Lamborghini. It is a very, very sexy car. Then Sergio Azario in P8. Daniel Christianides moved himself up into P7. He's 10 seconds behind John Wilson in P6, who's 4.5 seconds behind Ike Zerman in P5, as we just get the cameraman to find the car. There he is. Luis Pivers in P4, who's just been overtaken by Marco Badowski in another Raccoons Lamborghini. Top two then, Thomas Nopek, who lapped 0.5 of a second slower this time than our leader, who is Nico Veltman. I reread again my comms times, which I have to do on Saturday.
Yes.
I'm commentating for 4.5 hours straight.
Yeah, I was looking at that because I had a wee mess around with the positions for the team. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of comms, and then 1, 3, 4, 5 hours after that.
So
How did you manage to get yourself so many hours?
So I'm on a minute by minute rate. No. I've given myself a little bit of a buffer before and after to be able to do things like go to toilet.
Yeah, because I gave you a buffer between your comms and driving.
Oh no, I've already built that in.
I built that in as well, so.
Oh, it's fine. So I'm doing between 5:30 and 10 o'clock on Saturday, and between 9 and 12 on Sunday.
That's when you avoid the comms and you come and watch our team.
I've got to find some time to sleep in that 24 hours as well.
Worked out some space. Right. You don't have to be there at the very beginning of the race, do you?
Where?
I'm
happy with that, where you've put me.
Yeah, Chris and Robbie left to look at it, I think, or is it Craig's. It seems to be as fair as I can make it.
I'm happy if you want to give Craig one of my stints.
Do that as well.
Yeah, give him one of my stints, and that would. I'm happy with that. But he's unavailable for that time.
Yeah, I think that was part of the problem. Me and you are the only ones really available for the times that I gave us.
Well, I'm happy to do 4, just down to the fact that I'm doing comms as well. So I'm happy if you give Craig 5 stints and me 4.
So I can give Craig 19.
And
1 o'clock AM.
He's also said he's unavailable for qualifying, and you've put him in for qualifying.
Oh, so I have. Oh well. So we'll change that.
So pop Robbie in for qualifying. Sorry, we're strategising for our race on Saturday, boss. Trying to entertain you guys. So Hine and we're on board with Philip Hine at the moment. He's right on the back of Chesney Salazar. As they head down into turn 1. Don't forget, if you are watching, then please give us a follow on Twitch. You get to see hopefully some good quality racing with our rookies on Thursdays, our Pure Sim Gears on Fridays, monthly endurance races, and also we have British GT on Tuesdays. So Philip Hine is now under pressure from behind. He was trying to push onto the Chesney Salazar in front of this contact. That was a very, 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 very optimistic move from Stephen Wilson and rather impatient, or potentially might have outbraked himself into the corner, which has allowed Hind to retain P10 and drop Stephen Wilson down a bit. I don't think there was any room for that move. So car number 69 with a little bit of a mistake there, which has allowed the Aston Martin to kind of power away. However, Philip might feel he's faster than Chesney Salazar in P9, given the fact their teammates might be an opportune moment whilst there's a gap to allow a nice switcheroo between the two teammates. I'm not sure what the team orders are. As Derek is furiously typing away on his keyboard, trying to change stints.
But the thing is, everybody says I'm furiously typing away, but the actual truth of the matter is, it's just normal typing. I just have to have a very strong microphone.
Or you're one finger typing. Bam, bam, bam.
I know, I'd use more than one finger, thank you very much. I think I am.
If one thing, do you touch type or do you finger type?
I punch type.
Smashing the keyboard with your head.
I can't use, you know how you're supposed to sit with 4 fingers and your 2 thumbs on the
spacebar.
I can't do that, so I use middle 3 fingers and the other ones that do all the typing.
Right, okay. I sadly can touch type.
It messed me up because my right hand got smashed a few years ago, and that stopped all real ability. I can still use the finger, my first finger or whatever it's called.
No! So Lewis was attempting to pass Chris Carr, and yeah, probably not the nicest way to pass him by giving him a little bit of a nudge through the last corner.
I'm a bigger car, get out my way.
Yeah, it's always disappointing. So Stephen Wilson's got back up to Philip Pine again. This time decides not to make the move into the left-hander before they go into the right-hander. However, I think Stephen definitely feels like he's the faster car. Philip looks like he has potentially made a little bit of a mistake, which has allowed Stephen to come back in. But although these 3 cars are getting closer and closer together, Sergio Azario stayed in touch with Daniel Krishnaider, so that's only 1.2 seconds. So Sergio's definitely up to speed now. He's done last lap was a 49.1, whereas Krishnaider popped in a 51.4, so that was 2.3 seconds. They managed to get in together.
Lopez started to really push, but I don't know if he's maybe over pushing the car now. Got a lot of sliding going on.
Well, 1.5, just over between the 10th and 2/10 quicker last lap. So Veltman did a 47.0, Thomas Nopek did a 46.852.
Yeah, those boys are just need to kind of make sure they don't have an off and just put inconsistent times. Nopek do all the work.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you've got the joys of GT3 cars. If you catch one in a bad place, that's going to cost you a couple of tenths per second as well.
Yeah.
Admittedly, there's only 3 GT3 cars, 4 cars left on track, but still.
That's 3 chances of being taken out.
Yeah. Well, if numbers drop for next week, then I might join in a GT4 car just for S's and giggles.
Commentating from the GT4 car.
Oh, there was I joined a race once. And it was 3 hours. I did 6 hours of Kailami, and then followed by another 2 as a team with Chris Jones. So Alan Brown is now 9 laps behind. Stephen Wilson has made.
He ends up the pits again, yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Wilson's made contact with Philip Pine once again. I think Philip's quite upset with that because he's flashing his lights, but he's now dropped down into P11. Yeah, so once did Kailami, and then followed by another race at Kailami in the same day. And they said, oh yeah, we're going to do live comms. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. If you do live comms, I'll share it in our Discord. It was one guy driving round by himself, commentating on his own race. I was like, nah, mate, I'm not sharing that. That's not live comms.
No, that's normal creator stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was just the fact that he advertised it as live comms. I just thought it was hilarious.
Was his commentary on his own race quite good?
I don't know. I didn't watch. So Privers is going very, very slowly, and Zerman has now gone past him. So Privers has dropped now down to P5. He's definitely had an off. Have a look at what the lap time was. So he's in car number 121. Doesn't look as though he had an accident with anyone. Stephen Wilson and Philip Hine have switched back places. So Philip Hine is back into P10. Wilson back into P11. But I have no idea what's happened to Lewis. So that last lap was a 52.3, where Zerman did a 47.9. So definitely an off from Pivers. And that's also, well, John Wilson's 7 seconds behind you. You can just see him in the background there as they go through the hairpin. So Lewis is not enjoying the Porsche around Snetterton.
I don't think the Porsche is a great car around Snetterton, is
I
it?
I don't know.
I must admit, the Porsche's usually quite a... It's a brand that most people do drive quite frequently, regardless of how bad it is, how bad it's been made. But it's not something you've seen that much of on the British tracks.
No.
Even when we went to the British GT, there was one Porsche on track. And there was a number of Lamborghinis, Mercedes, and Aston Martin. I think there was any McLarens, the GT4.
So, well, whatever happens, I don't think Brizzle's going to manage to catch 10 laps in the next 11 minutes.
No. Didn't predict it, but I had thought that he might not make it back in. Oh, Nopic's gone a bit wide there in turn 1. Saved it though.
Quite a lot of dirt on the front of that BMW as well.
Yeah, he's been twitching and slipping and sliding. I think by this point most of the vehicles will probably have that black dirt on it. Part of it's the tyre rubber.
Yeah, Brizzle's back in the pits as well.
Yeah, it might be the end of his race.
Shame, his pace was 47.8, and 47.8 is top 9 pace.
Yeah. Again, it comes down to being able to keep it on track.
Yes. So, Veltman is currently looking very, very pretty. You can only just see Nopec in the back, right in the background. He has 2 lapped cars to pass, and Nico Veltman and Dominic Ilgner are definitely pulling away in this championship. After a disappointing result last time from Nopec, finishing P5 at Brands Hatch. We do have Silverstone next week on the 25th of April, and then Alton Park for the finale. So just 2 more rounds.
He is catching, but it's just not going to be quick enough.
No, and you got to think as well, Nico Veltman had to pass 2 lap cars last lap, or in the last couple of laps, which would have hampered his pace. Nopec's just coming up to them now. The last lap, Nopec was just under a tenth faster, so it's definitely not. He needs to be
I think he might have destroyed his tyres a little bit as well, trying to catch back up. It's either that or he's overdriving the car just a tad. He spends a lot of time sliding in corners.
So the fight that's going to come back into our radar is going to be Stephen Wilson and Philip Hine. Stephen, last lap was a 49.5. Philip did a 48.7. But Stephen's definitely closing back in on Philip Hine as they head towards the left-hander before into the left-hander to right-hander chicane. Well, kind of chicane. Philip Hine runs very, very wide, comes back on the track just in front of Stephen Wilson as they go to the sweeping right-hander before the top of Kenny's head begins again. carry on going through this right-hander. This will make the tyres scream before the final corner. Avoid the sausage on the left-hand side. Stephen Wilson is right at the backside of the Aston Martin as they head down the start-finish straight, the Senna straight before turn 1. You see the other Raccoons Racing team just in the foreground. Stephen Wilson's going to have to go the long way round. He's not going to be able to make it there. He's just going to hope for a better exit as they head towards the hairpin. Is he going to try and make a manoeuvre into the braking zone? No, he is not. He's a little bit too far behind. He's half a second behind. This is going to continue for the remainder of for the next couple of laps. 7.5 minutes left of the race. 80 minutes, well, 73 minutes raced so far, and these two are separated by 0.3 of a second. Philip Hine defends the racing line. Stephen Wilson was trying to make a move down the inside. He made a mistake there earlier, but this time decides against it. Have Chris Carr just in front of them. How is that going to affect this battle for P10? Not very much, because he moved.
Car's been stuck in every battle you've won.
I'm just going to follow Chris around the track. Stephen Wilson still carries on.
Well, Bristol's back out the pits again at 12 laps.
To be honest, respect.
Give up, basically.
Absolute respect, because it's an easy race just to go, yeah, and done. Oh, a little bit wide again from Philip Hine. Philip Hine has lost the position this time to Stephen Wilson. I thought there was going to be a little bit of contact there on the exit. But Stephen Wilson managed to get up into P10. He's going to try and chase down Chesney Salazar as his next attack. But I don't think Philip is going to let this one go. He has a red lap last time, so that he definitely went off track. So Stephen Wilson's managed to get that move done. He's now 1 second ahead of Philip already. So Stephen Wilson popped in a 49.2. Philip Hine 50.1. So that was
no Pinks got stuck behind that Broughton and
Senatore. So Senatore still going. Broughton they're going 3 wide down the start finish straight. Senatore is not going to win that battle.
That's a shame, because that lost Lopek the whole 2 seconds that he's just gained.
Yeah, he's lost 0.7 that lap on Nico Veltman. So yeah, that's a shame. But if you catch the drivers at the wrong point, that's always going to happen. So Badowski is in P3 with Zerman slowly chasing him from behind. 0.6 of a second gained on that last lap. Badowski with a 48.1. We've got Craig Hill was showing as a yellow flag, and Vincenzo Senadori showing as a yellow flag as well. But they're still carrying on, which is nice.
They were close to each other, so that would have been a wee bump probably.
So Senadori, I can't see what the gap is between him and P1 in the GT4s, but Senadori, that's definitely going to make the gap bigger. He had a little bit of a twitchy moment, and he's going to come back onto the track safely, which is good news. But if there was going to be a fight for P1, it's definitely not going to happen now with 4.5 minutes left.
No. It's almost showing as if P1's a lap ahead. I don't think he is.
No. As Nopak goes past Samuels, we're just on board with him at the moment. Broughton's going to should be able to make that move as McLaren goes all bouncy through the exit. So Stephen Wilson... Yeah, Stephen Wilson and Chesney Salazar. So Chesney is now only a second ahead of Stephen Wilson. Stephen Wilson gained 0.7 of a second in the last lap. So Stephen's going to now try and go from P11 to P9 with a couple of minutes left of the race. Chesney seems to be struggling through the exit, through mid-corner, having a bit of a slidey moment.
There's 23 seconds between Salvatore and P1, because I can't say that name.
Which one?
P1 of the GT4s.
Samuel.
Well, yeah, but I can't see how Samuel is just Chilmundelli.
I think you had it right the first time. So Chesney is now going to have to go into defensive mode. He thought he was potentially had this little bit of a buffer of his teammate, but that buffer has disappeared as they start to go through. Oh no, Chesney had a bit of a twitchy moment, and that's gifted the position to Stephen Wilson. Stephen Wilson moves up to P9 now. And that's going to put Chesney under pressure from his teammate. So Philip Hine now for the final sector. He's less than
teammates when you're not in the in the same race. There's teammates.
Oh yeah,
teammates at this point.
This is going to be the moment you just say, yeah, let Chesney have P10. He's in the Lamborghini. Or is Philip going to have? Well, yeah, that's not going to help him in that braking zone. Is Philip going to have permission to fight for position? It lost a little bit of time, so they're under no threat from behind. Bob is 25 seconds behind these two. But one mistake, and that could be the end of it. It looks as though Nopek has backed off a little bit. He is now...
he's got off track.
Who?
Nopek. He managed to save it, but he was off quite a bit.
He might just need to nurse those tyres. Yeah, he might need to nurse those tyres in for the rest of the race and just go for P2. Craig Hill is destroying brake markers into the hairpin.
Oh no, fired. That's why we have him in our team.
What? The thing is...
Take out the brake markers and the pit bulls. Do it. No, good on.
Christ, I'm trying to figure out if there's any brake markers you can take out at Watkins Glen.
No, they're all on the wall. They're all on the chain link fence.
Yeah. Marco Dragowski is allowing faster cars through, which is... he's currently 40 seconds behind Russ Blake. Philip Hine is not catching Chesney very much at all as they're approaching the end of the lap, so...
I can't believe the tyre marker has managed to survive the whole race.
It has. So last time around, Chesney popped in a 48.8 and Philip popped in a 49.8, so I don't think that battle's gonna... don't touch the Pirelli sign, no. So leader is now on the final lap, so this will be the final lap for Nico Veltman. I was hoping that the fight was going to develop between himself and Nopek towards the end of the race. I'm sure Veltman was hoping that it didn't, and it didn't come to fruition in the end. So just the last.
I think too much pushing and too many off.
Yeah, and catching traffic at the wrong time.
Yeah. It's quite an ask. 25 minutes to get 10 seconds from two aliens is quite a bit.
Yeah, but then you've got aliens, and then you got Thomas Nopek. I think if he was in a Mercedes, as he's normally in, or a BMW, I think there would have been potential. But I think in the M6, potentially killed the tyres. But regardless of that, Nico and Dominic. Well, Dominic had the pace from the onset, and Nico's absolutely no slouch whatsoever. But they kept the car on the black stuff. They've navigated the traffic, and they've put in an absolute superb performance once again. And it's all over bar the shouting. But yeah, these two have drove absolutely superbly as they go through the final corner, down the start-finish straight, and Nico Veltman comes across to win round 3 here at Snetterton. And what a fantastic drive! And Thomas Nopek comes across to claim P2, and now we can go. Now we can go off to Starbucks and get ourselves a coffee. Oh, Chris Carr's going off off the track because Marco Badowski is coming across to in P3. Bjorn Dale M6 is more of a highway queen. Meh.
Yeah, straight line double.
Yeah. So Badowski comes across to claim P3. Let's have a quick check on our GT3. GT4 winner, which is going to be Samuel Chalamondelli in the McLaren 570S. He comes across to win round 2. Vincenzo Senadori has experienced all different areas of the track. He comes across in P2. And Chris Carr has already finished in P3. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of drivers. So Chris Schneider claims P. So we got Ike Zerman claims P4. Then Privers in P5. Wilson in P6. Chris Schneider 7th. Osario in P8. Stephen Wilson with a last couple of laps fight through the field. Is going to come across to claim P9. He managed to overtake the 2 Raccoons drivers of Chesney and Philip Hine. So Stephen Wilson, one of the Wilson brothers, claims P9.
Do you know for a fact that they are brothers, or are you just talking?
I think they are. Chesney Salazar.
I've said this to Brizzo a few times. Is that your brother Brown? Is that your brother Brown? There's like 3 Browns now.
I get it with Terry Williams a lot as well. And Philip Hine comes across to claim P11 to round off the finish of the race. But what a fantastic drive from Nico Veltman and also Samuel, who have won tonight's race. I'm trying to find the cameraman's trying to find Samuel. Samuel's trying to race Nico Veltman.
Pushing them faster, faster, faster! I would compare you more to a Mark Williams.
Mark Williams, who's that?
Yeah, the snooker player.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I think you look quite like him as well.
I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what's happening with these two. I don't think I want to know.
Yet you're still watching.
No, I'm just clicking away. Right. So next week we are at Silverstone for round 4 with just 2 rounds to go of the championship. Thank you very much for joining me, Derek. It's a shame, obviously, not to see you on the grid, but the grid's loss is my gain, certainly.
Yeah, we'll come back next season with a Lambo or something.
Well, let's see what the project brings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my night done. I'm going to have a quick conversation with James, then I think I'll go and watch Jared Air drive the new cars around the track.
Well, I'm going to have a quick wee before I speak to you.
Not got time for that. No.
I have. Well,
tell your wife to stop giving you water.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Please be sure to join us for the next round at Silverstone. And yes, good night.
Yeah, they think it's all over. It is now.
It definitely is. Bye-bye.